And welcome to another edition of the New Sports Outlaws podcast. As always, I am Neil and this is Dan. And we had a lot of football to react to today. Dan, it was conference weekend. We are on the bye week for the NFL. Um, and basketball is continuing to roll along. So we got a lot of topics to discuss. How are you tonight?
Yeah, doing good. We have two conference championship games that I think sort of not what we wanted really to happen, but what we expected to happen, and it pretty much happened. And now we got a lot of time, as we do, and the rest of the media of the world have a lot of time, 2 weeks to talk about the Chiefs and the Eagles and the Super Bowl. So we'll probably talk more about that next week, if anything, just because we have a lot of time. But yeah, we still got some things to talk about. We got some baseball, got some basketball. Definitely got some other things to talk about, and let's do it. Let's get it going.
Yeah. Yeah, so in keeping with the NFL to start with, because we're not gonna have it for much longer, so let's enjoy it while it's here. Um, the games were entertaining. Even that first one that ended up being a blowout eventually, I felt was a closer game, even with the fact that Washington didn't seem to be able to achieve the levels on offense that they were achieving. I mean, Zach Ertz had a blast from the past with like 100 and something yards, and I'll mention that later on when we talk about the Super Bowl preview. But yeah, for the most part, I thought it was competitive until like the third quarter, and then it just got out of hand.
Yeah, it wasn't Jaden Daniels' fault that they lost that game. They were moving the ball. Um, the first possession, they went and scored. They got a field goal, I believe, on their first possession of the game. It was 3-0 quick. They were moving. Um, but then the Eagles off. I think they were. It's just they were too young. They had 4 turnovers, mostly on fumbles. I think Eckler had a fumble. I want to say not Ertz, the other tight end. Maybe it was Ertz. Had a fumble. Um, yeah, we had four turnovers in that game. Daniels had an interception late. But I think, like I said, it wasn't a 32 point I mean, it wasn't a. I mean, it was a blowout, but it wasn't like they didn't belong on the field with them. Jaden Daniels did his best. He had 29 to 48 for 255, a couple touchdowns, some rushing. But the Eagles' offense, everyone showed up. Their experience. It's going to be their third Super Bowl in the last 8 years, which is obviously, I guess, second most impressive compared to the Chiefs. Um, and Jalen Hurts, which I think was a surprise, at least for me, because it seems like Jalen Hurts has kind of been getting almost, I don't want to say carried, that's a harsh word, but he hasn't been his best self, but he definitely had his best game, his last game, and they're definitely going to need more of that if they have any chance, I think, against the Chiefs in a couple weeks.
Yeah, and something I will mention about the Kansas City and Buffalo game is that if you see one vulnerability, I guess, of the Chiefs is that although they have a good front seven, they seem to be susceptible to a little bit of a run, especially when you're talking about a good back. Like I like James Cook as much as anybody, but James Cook's not Saquon Barkley, and James Cook had between 80 and 90 yards last week. Josh Allen had another like 25, 30 yards, and it didn't even seem like he was actually purposely not running as much as he usually does. Um, so I wonder if the Chiefs are going to be able to stop, and I hope the Chiefs are able to stop Barkley and Hurts enough to force Hurts to have to beat them with his arm. But
Yeah, with that Chiefs Bills game, there was, even though it was 32-29, it came down to the wire. There was really, at least in my eyes, no doubt that the Chiefs kind of had that game. Like, you kind of knew. I mean, the only time really where maybe Chiefs fans may have gotten a little nervous, what I say is when Buffalo was up by one, I think, and then they got that stop on the questionable 4th and 1 QB sneak that everyone's kind of talking about, that the referee one referee had it a first down, the other referee didn't have it a first down, and then it's almost like the other referee pushed it back a little bit on the one. But other than that, I mean, the Chiefs kind of were in control, at least I would say. It looked like they were in control. Josh Allen tried his best. He had a great game. Josh Allen had a fantastic game. James Cook had a game, like you said. But what the Chiefs did is they had great moments. And when it came down to that fourth down against Josh Allen on that last possession that Buffalo had, where they did that corner blitz out of nowhere, or that possession they had to secure it, where they had the 1 second down play to Hunt or Pacheco. That run, I forgot that before the last play to P-Rod. That second last play to Pacheco, they executed perfectly that last possession so that Josh Allen did not get the ball back with any types of chance to tie or win the game. They just look calm, composed, collected. They look like they've been there, like they had been there. And I know I was telling my coworkers on this past Monday, that they were like, "Aren't you tired of seeing the Chiefs in the Super Bowl?" I'm like, I guess, but I mean, they're really good. I mean, I want to see greatness. If they can do back to back to back, why would I not want to see that in my lifetime? I mean, I thought we saw Brady, the GOAT. All of a sudden, Mahomes is coming up. If he wins this, we could talk about this more next week. That he's right there. I think that'll be his fourth Super Bowl, I believe, once they win it. So, but yeah, I didn't think that it was a close game, but Josh Allen just didn't happen again.
Yeah, I mean, Mahomes also only 29 years old, so I mean, he absolutely will be in that discussion, win or lose this Super Bowl. But obviously, I'm gonna root for a three-peat. We'll talk more in depth on matchups and things we like to see and things we think we're going to see in the Super Bowl as far as what we've seen so far this playoffs. I will be rooting for history too, because there's nothing outside winning substantial money. There's nothing that could force me to root for any Philadelphia scum team and their loser fan base and their terrible franchises. I hate all of them. Oh, so speaking of um, things I don't hate, we'll get back into the football as we move on when we get to next week's podcast before the Super Bowl. But things I don't hate are my New York Knicks. My New York Knicks are 4-0 since Tom Thibodeau went to a 9-man rotation. I can only imagine that is going to expand to 10-man rotation if Mitchell Robinson ever graces us with his presence. But we shall see. What do you think about your crosstown rivals?
Yeah. After that, almost was a Nets debacle again, almost on the Tuesday after Martin Luther King Day. Um, they've got, obviously, their offense has really stepped it up. Last couple games against the Grizzlies and the Kings, I believe they scored 144 or 143 in both games, which is obviously in 4 quarters a crazy amount. OG's kind of stepped it up a little bit offensively. Seems like he was been quiet for most of the year, and or at least recently, last couple of months, and
Yeah.
he kind of stepped it up the past few weeks. I think his last 7, he's averaging 17 a game over the past 7 games. So he stepped it up a little bit. Cat is doing his thing, even though he's kind of, I think he's still shooting a little he's low from 3-point range. Maybe his thumb injury, but he's still dominating in there. Still at 21-12. Bridges having a good game. It's going to be matter. It seems like their defense, because obviously offensively they're locked in. They're playing the Nuggets right now. Obviously a top team. They have 53 points with 4 minutes left. That's a lot of points. So obviously offensively it seems like they got it going. And it seems like with Tibbs making adjustments, and that's kind of what you want to see from a coach. You want to see him make adjustments, play that 9, maybe 10. I don't know how he's going to play 10, but he's making adjustments. They're looking good. See him hit their stride after the All-Star break, just like they did last year.
Yep. Yeah, and I honestly think, and to be perfectly honest, obviously, I know I'm going to give you a more optimistic view. It's how I am with the Knicks. I mean, hell, look at our NBA predictions. I had Knicks littered all over yearly awards and expectations for the playoffs. But um, I think, I know you're going to call me optimistic, but I think this year they could even be better going down the stretch, because this team is much different than last year's team, and there's new parts that I think only mesh together better and better as they keep playing. So I think they could even be, although their defense, well, I don't think will be as good as last year. I think just as a cohesive unit, they can even get better and better as this year goes on.
What's better? I mean, they finished from, I think they were like the 7th seed, I want to say, around the All-Star break last year, I think. And they finished as the 2. What's better?
No, I mean better than where they're sitting right now. I mean, like they're gonna get better and better. I think, like you said, they're good, and they look like maybe they found something here. But I just think getting the chemistry of playing together, meaning Bridges with Carl, with Campaign, with Jalen, with Josh, and all of them, and going in and out, McBride, all those pieces, getting more and more used to playing with each other is only going to mean better things. And to be perfectly honest, I'd rather, if you're going to tell me I'm going to be in a conference final and be a 3 or 4 seed, or be ousted in the second round and get a 2 seed like last year, honestly, give me the 3 or 4, and I find myself in the conference final.
Yeah, I think it's the only thing that maybe you and I guess everybody really didn't expect is the Cavs being as good as they've been this year so far. And I think we still think it was just a Boston Knicks kind of conference. And I still kind of think that, but then the Cavs are really, really good. And the last thing I think a Knicks fan's going to want to see is another exit in the second round, whether that's to the Cavs or Boston. I think those are the only 2 teams that could beat them. No, they're a top 5 team in the NBA. That's kind of obvious. But Cavs are really good, and Boston's really good. And then, like I said, the last thing, another second round exit. That's what you don't want to see. You got to want to take that next step to the conference finals, at least eventually.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, I'm not, listen, all respect to them. I've seen them when they played the Knicks. I really haven't seen them by themselves. I'm not scared of the Cavs in a series. I'm
You
sorry.
shouldn't be
I
scared.
don't care.
You shouldn't be scared of anybody. You
I'm
should
not
be.
scared of the Cavs. And listen, if you told me Boston puts a little worry into my boots, sure. More than the Cavs. I'd rather have, if you told me I had to play the Cavs or the Celtics in a 7-game series to get to the NBA championship, I'd say give me the
No,
Cavs as opposed to give me
sure,
the Celtics.
sure. Yeah, I'm with you.
Um, Okay. Just quick touch in. Do we have a net score? Or are they accomplishing the tank correctly?
Yeah. No, I guess not. I mean, apparently not. So right now they're up. They're playing the more tanking Charlotte Hornets. They're up by 16 right now. Um, the the Nets just got to it. Really, well, we got the trade deadline, which is actually next. I want to say the 8th or the 9th. Might be next Friday or next Saturday, something like that. And it's just if we're going to move the whole Cam Johnson thing, if we're going to move anybody else, surprisingly. Um, but it's just gonna be that's what it's waiting for, and we just kind of have to wait there. We're gonna be bad no matter what. Um, top 5, top 6, hopefully pick coming, and
Yeah.
then see who we get in the draft and
Uh,
go from there and get some free agents.
Question, and I didn't do any research on this because it just came up to me. I mean, hasn't it been like less than like 5 times in the last 15 years that the worst team in the league got the first pick in the draft?
Well, I think for the one I remember that's really obvious, I think the Detroit Pistons had like the worst record like maybe 2 years ago, and they ended up getting like the 4 pick or the 5 pick, something
Yeah.
like that, something crazy like that. I think it was the 5 because I know they do that big thing with the lottery, the top 4, and I think it was like, oh my god. So like that's what I'm saying. It's still a lottery. I can't I don't like I still watch net games. I don't like watching my team get blown out. I know it's kind of what has to be done, and we don't really need any help getting blown out. We're not playing. We don't have anybody right now. I mean, D'Angelo's been hurt. Cam Johnson's been hurt. Cam Thomas has been hurt. It's not like we need any help. We're doing this on purpose. We don't have the guys to do it. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like we're purposely having D'Angelo Russell, Cam Thomas, Cam Johnson, and just like not playing them. So we're not doing that. We've lost 7 straight. I think we've lost like 10 straight at home. We're embracing the tank, as people would say now, and I think we're in the 5th best odds. I want to say right now. So we'll see how it goes, and we'll see.
Yeah, no, I mean it's worth a check in. We like although we have a lot of topics to talk about, there's not much in the way of true physical sports news. I mean, you're in between the Super Bowl. We're about to hit media week. By the way, quick fact that I wanted to drop on you that I didn't drop on you earlier. Nick Fangio is 0-8 when facing Patrick Mahomes. So just keep that in mind. He is the Philadelphia Eagles defensive coordinator. So here's hoping. Yeah. So as far as sports go, there's a little bit of news here or there. We're gonna talk about it every week on the podcast, even if it's just a crumb. And your crumb this week, Daniel, is the whole drama surrounding the New York Mets, and they had their like fan day where Steve Cohen obviously gave this boss speech, where he basically they said we love Pete, but we're sick and tired of his agent. If you want to be a Met, wise up. So that's pretty much the gist of what was said from Steve Cohen. That everyone said, "Oh, the king has returned." What do you think?
Um, yeah, and their amazing day that Juan Soto did not want to show up to. So, yeah, it seems like that it's it's Alonso. They definitely want each other. Alonso wants to go to the Mets. The Mets they want Alonso, but obviously they want him at their price, and they're obviously pretty stiff on their price. And I don't personally if the Mets want Alonso, if they really do, I think they do, but if they really want Alonso, why can't you just throw him an extra 10 million? I mean, I know it's easy for me to say this, but like, if he's really your guy and you really want him, what's an extra 10 million over 3 years going to do? It's like I know they're trying. It's not like it's a salary cap. Why are we playing hardball now? Like I think Nimmo, got. I would take Alonso over Nimmo. Nimmo got a brand new contract. You really. I mean, I think I know everyone like a couple weeks ago saying Alonso was gone. Oh my God, we got Jesse Winker back. We signed somebody. I forgot they signed some AJ Minter. They said who had a
Yeah,
bad thing to say about the Yankees, but we can talk about that eventually. Um, it's like I think it's end up like they're gonna end up coming back to each other. Unless the Mets really just play hardball and then maybe the Giants and the Cubs somehow just come swoop them up. But it seems like they want each other. I think they'll end up back with each other probably a few weeks, couple weeks or so. But
yeah.
it's just kind of it's a drama. It's a melodrama.
Yeah. Listen, I think that his bat can help. I don't think he's done. I think he has pop in his bat still. I think he can be very useful in protecting Juan Soto because I think that lineup, as of right now, that lineup just basically switched Juan Soto for Pete Alonso, which is an absolute upgrade. Don't get me wrong, but um, for spending that much money, they really haven't made many more upgrades around the team. We talk a lot about Yankee hot stove because we're both Yankee fans. And we talk about different moves, and we could actually mention a little bit Yankee news from listening to sports radio like we do. But as far as the Mets go, the other parts of the team, I don't think they've really improved all that much. So if you tell me now you bring back Pete and you have Soto coming in, now you can say your lineup is substantially better. Whereas if you lose Pete for Juan, you took a step up, but how much of a step up? You're going to lose 30 to 40 home runs from Pete's bat.
Yeah, the only thing that the Mets don't want to find is because they have World Series expectations. Also, they went for that underdog to I'm not going to win anything to World Series or at least conference con, championship series NLCS
Yeah.
expectations, obviously with the Dodgers. But they don't want to be like Alonso, like all of a sudden their offense is playing not great, and then Alonso's not there. That's the last thing that Met fans are going to want to see. And I mean, Soto's going to need somebody. I mean, is Lindor going to have the same MVP year as he going to have last year? He could. He's really good. Is Vientos going to continue? I still think there's a lot of question marks offensively for them and pitching. I think they have a lot personally. There's 11 side Iglesias, who's a Boris guy, by the way, also Mr. OMG. So I don't know. They got a lot of. I know Soto is. He solves a lot of problems. He solved a lot of Yankee problems last year. I get it, but they got a lot of problems, and I think Met fans are kind of under. Like they're not thinking about that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, they got Clay Holmes as a starter, so they're good, though. And to back and to back up Clay Holmes, another starter, Frankie Montas. The Mets are in good shape. Let me tell you, I could see them.
Harrison Bader still on this team. Jeez.
I could see them giving the Dodgers a run for their money. Um,
I,
So, just we're in baseball. There is not a terrible amount of Yankee news. We haven't heard anything as far as bringing any new players or anything, but we both listen to WFAN, and Sal and BT had Boone on the other day. There was a little bit of at least clips from that had been circulating, and then also there was the Steinbrenner quotes. Take it and want to get your opinion on those. Where he lumps himself in. I'm talking about Steinbrenner now. Lumps himself in with the rest of Major League Baseball and says owners can't really. It's hard for them to basically compete with teams like the Dodgers and what they're doing and how they're spending money. So for the number one franchise outside the Cowboys, I think, in America for revenue income. What do you think by hearing your owners say something like that?
yeah, I think the phrase was owners like us can't be like the Dod. Like he was clipping himself in with the lower echelon teams. Well, the thing is, and they mentioned this, and I heard about it. Like the way that their ownership is, it's a lot different because the Dodgers ownership is like I think it's run by like a trust fund or something like that, or a lot of it's like
Hedge fund,
I
yep.
don't know what happened.
A hedge fund.
Yeah, and that's why they're able to sign all those deferral contracts with deferrals on them, where the Yankees aren't run like that. So I guess they can't, or I guess nobody's really run like that except for the Dodgers. So they're the only ones that could do that. So I guess in that regard, I guess you could agree with that part. Um, but I mean, I think the Dodgers are definitely the new evil empire. That's what it is. And the Yankees were that for a long time under Papa George. And now it's just the Dodgers, and we kind of got to deal with it. Thank God. I'm going to say it again. Thank God they're in the NL. We'll play them for our one series a year. We'll put it on Fox. It'll be fantastic. But I'm fine being in the AL, and we're still we signed we have still have the third most payroll behind the Dodgers and the Mets. I think. I have no problems with him saying it. I know it makes them look less than they really are. Like we're not spending money, but it's not like we're being cheap or anything. I have
Yeah.
zero problem with what everybody said.
Yep. Um, programming note for those of you who are still listening to the long form pod, and if you are those people, we greatly appreciate you. Um, we were both 2-0. I mean, we picked against the spread. Exactly correct this week, being the first perfect week for both of us. I
It
was
only took us 20 weeks.
Yeah, I was one leg short in both the parlays that I had built for the podcast. Another parlay that I built for myself was 6 out of 8, and the two that didn't hit, they didn't hit for 2 and 5 yards separately there, so 7 yards combined. It's a little bit of a struggle. We're close. I feel it with the parlays. I feel it's there, and then it just rug right out from under me. So we say all the time, gambling's fun, but be responsible. But we're having fun, right, Dan?
Yeah, no, we're having a blast doing this. We're about 6 months in. Actually, we're up to about 6 months in. I think we started in August, right? So we're
Yep.
at six. We're at the 6 more at the half year mark. Having a blast. Can't wait for baseball to come back. Get some more basketball in there. We'll definitely probably. I think we should do some March Madness. We'll get some March Madness in there. We have March coming up in a couple months, obviously. But yeah, no, we're having a blast. It's great doing this. I love it. Putting everything out there. We're definitely gonna get some more things out there. We'll probably on Friday do some a little trivia reel because obviously we only have one game left to pick. So we definitely get some more trivia in there, maybe some more blind ranks in there, some more variety of content that all of you guys can check out. And if you guys have any suggestions, feel free, let us know, and we'll put it out there. Why not? We'll try anything out here.
Yep. So Dan, till
Yeah.
next time.
Yeah, until next time, again, keep following us on the Instagram, X, YouTube, Facebook. Keep getting those likes up, keep getting those subscribes up. And until next time, until next week, I'm Danny, this is Neil, signing off.